So, you know how to create a list in Python, right? Well, that's really just the first step. The real fun, the real power, comes when you learn how to make that list dynamic, making it grow, shrink, and change whenever you need it to. And today we're going to break down exactly how you can do that. And I'm sure you have, right? I mean, think about it. You make a list of, say, users for your app, or maybe a to-do list for the day. And then boom, something changes. A new person signs up, you finish a task, or you remember you're out of milk. Suddenly, your list is out of date. It has to change to reflect what's actually going on. This is such a fundamental part of programming, and luckily Python makes it super easy.
Okay, so the first big idea you've got to get your head around is that Python lists are not set in stone. They're not like some ancient carved tablet. No, they're way more like a whiteboard, something you can just walk up to, erase, and write new stuff on whenever you want. And this awesome flexibility actually has a proper name in the world of programming. And that key term is mutable. All it means really is changeable. You might have run into other things in Python that are immutable. Once you make them, that's it, they're fixed. But lists, nope, they are built from the ground up to be flexible. So when you create a list, its story is really just getting started.
Let's go back to that shopping list idea, because it's a perfect example. So you've got milk and eggs on your list. Then you're walking to the car and you're like, oh, bread. You don't crumple up the list and start over, right? Of course not. You just add bread to it. Then you look in the fridge and see you actually have a full carton of eggs. So you just cross eggs right off. That is mutability in action. And that's exactly how a Python list behaves. All right, so let's stick with this whole idea of growing our list. How do we actually add new items? How do we make our lists bigger? Well, Python gives us a couple of really fantastic built-in tools for doing just that.
Okay, your number one go-to method for adding something new is going to be .append. It's super simple, super direct. It appends the new item. It sticks it right on the very end of your list. So here we've got our fruits list, and we're just appending cherry. And boom, just like that, our list is bigger. Cherry is now the last thing on there. See? Super easy. Append is going to be your best friend when all you need to do is tack something on the end. And it's really fast too, because Python doesn't have to shuffle any of the other items around. Okay, that's great. But what if the end of the list isn't where you want the new item to go? What if you need to be a bit more surgical about it and slide something into a very specific spot, maybe right in the middle? For that, yeah, we're going to need a different tool, one with a lot more precision. And that tool is .insert DAO. Now, this one's a little different. It needs two pieces of information from you. First, you have to tell it the index, the position where you want the new item to go. And second, you have to tell it what the item is. So in this example, we're basically saying, hey, Python, I want you to insert the number 15 right at index 1. Now watch what happens. Python is really clever here. It doesn't just overwrite what's at index 1. No. It shuffles everything else down. It slides it all to the right to make a new space. It's kind of like politely squeezing into the middle of a line at the movies. Nobody gets kicked out, everyone just scoots over. This is super powerful, but just keep in mind, if you have a massive list, all that shuffling can take a little more time than a simple append. So, here's the bottom line. It's all about picking the right tool for the job. You want fast and easy and you're adding to the end? Use append. You need to place something in a very specific spot? That's when you reach for insert. All right, so our lists can get bigger. Awesome. But what about the other way around? It's just as important to know how to remove items. You complete a task, you sell a product, whatever it is, you need to be able to shrink your list too. And just like when we were adding things, Python gives us a few different ways to do this. You can basically remove something based on what it is, that's its value, or based on where it is in the list, that's its index. Let's take a look at both. First up, we've got remove. This is the one you use when you know the name of the thing you want to get rid of, but maybe you have no idea where it is in the list. You're just telling Python, hey, find the word green for me and get it out of here. Okay, and there's the result. But wait, look closely. Our original list had green in it twice, didn't it? But .remove only got rid of the first one it found. Now this is a super important detail to remember. .remove does its job, finds the first match, and then it stops. So what if you want to remove something by its position instead? That's where pop comes in. You just give it an index number, and it literally pops that item right out of the list. And here's the really cool trick with pop. It doesn't just delete the item, it actually gives it back to you. You can save it in a variable in case you need to use it for something else. So here, we're just popping out whatever's sitting at index 2. And there you have it. The item at index 2 is gone. and the list just closes up the gap. So pop is perfect for when you care more about the position of an item than what it is, or especially when you need to remove something and immediately do something else with it. Whew, okay, we have covered a lot of ground really fast, right? We're adding and removing items like pros. So let's just take a quick breath and recap all these new tools we've just added to our programming toolkit. So let's just run through it. The big idea, the foundation for all of this, is that lists are mutable. They can be changed. Then for the tools, you've got .append to add something to the very end. You've got .insert to add an item at a specific spot. Then to get rid of things, you use .remove to delete an item by its name or value, and you use .pop or del to delete something when you know its position, its index.
Really, the most important thing to take away from all this is that there's a right tool for any job you need to do with your lists. It's not about memorizing one command. It's about looking at your problem and then picking the perfect, elegant tool that Python gives you to solve it.
So now you can make your lists totally dynamic. You can add items, you can remove them, you're in complete control. But what happens when you need everything in a certain order? Alphabetically, or maybe from the smallest number to the biggest? Well, that brings us to our next big challenge, sorting. But for now, thanks for joining me.